Scrappy friends, how are you guys doing today? I'm doing pretty good. It's been so hot here in Hawaii this past week. I was just reading an article in the news that was saying that energy has been really high because it's been so humid lately this week. Anyway, not that you needed to know about that, but it's making me think about fall time and how much I miss brisk mornings and colorful leaves, but that's okay. I'll just look at all your guys' layouts of all your pictures and it'll be all cool. So I should go and talk about this layout since I did a whole bunch of mixed media elements on it. Don't mind my messy hair. I tried not to get my head. I taped this really, really well, and I did put it on cardstock. This is using the Scraptastic September The Girl Kit. So I wanted a little bit of a border around 3 sides. And the floral paper is from Echo Park. That's We Are Family. And I did just use a layer of gesso, so that's all you guys see me put on there. That is a primer, so that will prime your page for whatever other stuff you want. So it helps it not seep in so much. And it also just helps, especially when you use gelatos, it just helps the gelato slide. And so I really taped this down good because I knew I was going to do a little bit of stuff on it. And that bottom paper is from Pink Paisley, the Solstice collection, and that's Kauai. So I'm really excited, guys, because I'm using my new headset that my husband bought me. And so hopefully it gets all the background noise not so bad. So I don't, especially tonight, I don't have to like sweat my butt off. Though I do it for you anyway, because I'd rather have it not be a lot of noise. I know that's like so distracting, which is why I try to do this when my kids are sleeping. Anyway, I am just blending the gessos right now. I used a red. I used like a hot pink type of color, or like a bright pink. And then I used like a corally, shimmery, peachy color. So it's like a pink and an orange together. And I just really wanted to blend them because I wanted it to have a smooth transition from the dark color to the lighter, different colors. So here I'm using a whole bunch of different methods. My finger, mostly I use a paintbrush. And I'm just putting water on it, and what I'm doing is taking the gelatos off. It's kind of hard to see. But that red was so dark, so dark. It was just like way too dark. So here I'm blotting it with a paper towel. I didn't want to use a baby wipe because that was just going to wipe a lot more of the color off, though I probably could have did just a little bit more. But the picture is going to go there, so it's not that big of a deal. But I really did want to tone down that floral. When I first seen that paper, guys, I didn't think I was going to even use that. I was like, oh, that's scary. No, the colors are beautiful. I'm lying. It wasn't that scary. The colors are beautiful, but it's just a very, very bold paper. So you almost either have to cut it up or use bits of it for layering. So here I put a film type of frame over top of this old Polaroid. I mean, this is old. This is from 1983, because this is from the year that I was born. That picture is my mother, my grandmother, and me when I was just a wee little baby. So you guys get to see me as a little baby. All nice and cute with a big full head of hair. And my mother is actually wearing a shirt that is very reminiscent of that bold paper, which is why I decided to use it. But using the gesso definitely calmed it down. And using the gelatos on it, like, I mean, right now it doesn't look like much. You know, it just looks like this circly square thing in the middle of it. But once you start layering stuff, it really comes together. And that's the one thing I found with a lot of these techniques with the mixed media, is sometimes when you're adding something, it almost at first doesn't look like much. You just kind of got to play with it. And sometimes it doesn't turn out. I've done stuff, layouts of paper. I've done stuff on paper and I didn't like it once it came out. But sometimes you just got to try it. So that's what I'm doing. So I am just cutting this out because I know I want something to ground that picture. Since I know the picture is in the middle, it's gonna need something to help. Your eye needs something else besides just that picture to rest on. So, especially because in the middle of the paper, your eye tends to get a little bit more lazy because that's a harder place to stare at. I'm not sure why the mechanics are, but that is what I've heard. Hopefully I'm not incorrect, but it helps to have something grounding it, so it's not just like all floating. There's like a shelf there. So, and thank you, Shamel, for teaching me that, right? Here I'm just using gelatos on this paper, and that is Teresa Collins' Something Wonderful, and it's just really fun because it has the newsprint underneath. And because this picture was taken pretty close to when I came home from the hospital, I thought it was very reminiscent of that, especially when I was born. People used to post things in the newspapers a lot more. So when babies were born, when people were married, you would go right to your local newspaper and you'd, have a few sentences saying who had what baby or who got married to what, and you would put it in. So I really thought that really just added something. So here I am cutting a piece of, that's from Pink Paisley, and that's Bali, and it has hearts that are different colors. So it looks a lot like that Shamel paper that she has with the circles with the different colors. So I'm trying to think about what I want, and I was going to ink it with the pink, and then I decided that I want to do some stuff on it because this is going to go behind my picture. But here I'm thinking about layers, I'm thinking about textures. I'm like, what do I want to do that is going to add interest? I mean, yeah, that bold paper is bold, but I mean, if you can't go bold or go home, right? If you can't just go all the way, I don't know. That's just me. I don't mind if there's a lot of different stuff on it, and it gives it character, and it's who I am. So, and that's really what I think when you do layouts like these, especially, when it's pictures or stories that mean a lot, you really want it to be you coming out on that page. You don't want to do something that isn't you. So that's what I found. It's like, even when I look at other people's layouts, I look at the pictures and I see how maybe that person's story is coming out on the page. It's like, how can you say that someone's page stinks when they put their heart into it, and that's just who they are? So I used just the gesso on there, and I did try to use a little gelatos, but stupid me, here's me playing around, should have known. I shouldn't say stupid. I just wasn't thinking. I should have known that you wouldn't have seen any of the color through the gelato or through the gesso. Gelatos need water to activate it. So, which is why when I mix this up, which I didn't show you how I mixed it up, but this is modeling paste with a little bit of pink and a little bit of that orange color from my gelatos, and I sprayed a spray of water just to get it going, and then I mixed it in with the molding paste. And I used a brush that I didn't care got modeling paste all over it, though I cleaned it out right away anyway, because if you don't clean it out, it's gonna be there forever. So I cleaned it, or I just brushed it on, and I brushed it really, really thick. So here I'm laying down that pink paper, and that is the back of that heart paper. So that is pink paisley. And I'm just using a lot of pinks, a lot of creams. I really want to tone down that floral paper a lot because it is a lot to look at, and I don't want that to be the focus, even though my mother's shirt looks so much like that. I want it to complement my photo. I want it to just be a part of what you see, not be like, oh, look at that. So here I'm just going through my die cuts, and most of those are the Heidi Swapp and Teresa Collins from the Something Wonderful collection. So I'm just going through stuff. That tag right there, that journaling tag that I end up using, or 3x4 card, says on this day, and that is in a print that looks like that old computer print. So I thought that that would be fun, kind of going back to the 80s, the early 80s, when I was born. So here, that is finally all dried, and it took a while for it to dry. So this took me a while to do, this page, just because I had to wait for that the pink modeling paste to dry, because I put that on pretty thick. I really wanted to be able to see the strokes. So I put quite a bit of tape on there. A lot of times I just like to use just a couple of swipes of glue with that usually, or the tape. I find that that usually helps, and it's not overdoing it. I did edge a couple of those, and so I really want to add one more layer because, you know, go big or go home now. I really just wanted one other color, something else. So I take this Heidi Swapp paper, Dreamy Dots, that's from her Dreamy collection. And so at first I'm thinking that blue side, then I'm like, oh, maybe I'll use the other side that looks like sequins. But I really didn't want that dark because I have the bottom strip is dark. So I really wanted to keep the top really light. So I tried not to do even, like, I just use regular, no, I think I used glossy accents on that vellum piece up at the top. It says Best Day Ever. I thought about using ATG, but you can see the ATG, and yes, it wouldn't have mattered, but at this, for this layout, I really didn't want to be able to see that strip of ATG. So I'm putting this on Pop Dots. You know, I have a love-hate, I realized when I was doing this, I have a love-hate relationship with Pop Dots. I love them. They're amazing. They give shadow, they give dimension, you know, but half the time, they stick together in the package. Well, they do at my house because it must be the humidity. Or it could be that the companies that I buy it from have had them for a long time. I don't know. So it's hard to rip them apart, and it's hard to get the paper off. It takes forever. But in the end, I love them because I love what the outcome and what they do. So here I'm just placing everything, and I really am just doing like lopsided. And I have a hard time finding really where I want to put it, and I put it here, and I think that's the only thing that I feel like is a little bit too long. Maybe if I had redid it, I would have cut it so you can't see the flower. I like the pop of flower because it gives a little bit of color, but I just kind of feel like it's a little long. So, you know, it's one of those things, sometimes you're not going to like everything. So here I have a roller date stamp that I got. I believe it's Pebbles, and it has dates, and what was taking me so long is I was actually looking to see how low the year went, and it was only 2012, so I wasn't going to use that because 1983 is not going to help. So it has a whole bunch of girl sayings, and so I just used Little One, and I put that on the tag. I thought that that would be really cute since it is me with my mom and my grandmother, and I really just love this picture. I mean, it's crappy because it's, you know, an old picture, so it's losing its color, and my mom totally looks like she's in the 80s with her hair and with that shirt, but now that I'm older and now that I don't get to spend as much time with my family, it's really nice to see photos like this because it's, you know, because we don't have that many now, you know, and even with my kids, you know, they haven't really seen my grandmother that much, like once. So being in the military, that's one of the things that we've, you know, had to come to terms with. And I mean, the community within the military is great, so they end up becoming your family. So sometimes you don't feel like you're missing out, but sometimes you do. So, I mean, we've learned to make some really good friends, and that's just how we learn to, you know, get along without our families. But it still is tough around the holidays. So anyway, it's nice to have photos like this where we are all together, and it makes me realize how much more important it is that when you spend time with family, you can get great photos like this. And yes, the quality doesn't have to be great, but just to have a picture of 3 generations together is amazing. So I used the Chamel rub-ons, which that was the first time I used rub-ons, guys. I was impressed that they didn't, like, that they actually went on my page. I wasn't sure how it was going to work. So these are October Afternoon Daily Flash cursive stickers, or mostly cursive. And I love the white color. It very much... That's not correct grammar. Good thing I'm not an English teacher. Oh, wait, I teach my kids English. Good thing I have a book that helps me, right? I like the way that the white goes with the gesso, with the white in the newsprint, in the Teresa Collins paper. You know, the white in my grandmother's shirt and my outfit. I just really like how that white looks, and it just kind of finishes off that bottom. It kind of evens it out and, you know, balances it out very well. I at first had to move it up because at first I didn't have it down or up high enough, and at first I was like, oh, just a little bit of the P is going to be off, that'll be okay. But the Y really was off, so I had to fix it. But I really like how this title looks on here. So let's see, I used that round on the left side and the bottom corner of the picture. I'm pointing, like you guys can see where I'm pointing to. I don't know if anybody else does that, but that circle that's open is from Heidi Swap stickers from the kits. Here I'm getting the sequins from Studio Calico, and this is from the kit. So everything that I used, I think, except for my mixed media stuff, and I added enamel dots, were from the kit. Oh, and besides enamel dots, I also use some gold sequins from my own stash too. I forgot about those. So I like the way the sequins look, but as I had last time used sequins, I know Maura was saying that she doesn't like to use them because she didn't know if she'd like to use them because of the hassle. And I will say this, they are a pain in the butt to put down because you have to go through, it just takes a little time. But if you just use it as a time to relax, it's kind of like outlining and stuff like that. If you just use it to relax, then it can be like therapeutic almost. So, I mean, as long as your glue adhesive is working properly, because I know sometimes the glossy accents likes to get stuck. I just use that. I know it can make it a little shiny, but you really can't see that much of it sticking out that I think it makes much of a difference. So, I mean, if you don't like that shininess from the glossy accents, yeah, I'm sure the Tombow would work well too. I like the smaller tip from the glossy accents. So, that's why I use that. So I'm just placing them around, trying to make them look random, which in essence is not random at all. So I think pretty much that is about it. I am going to journal in a minute, and I did edit some of this out, just so you know, because sometimes it takes me a while to... I really need to start getting back into... When I first started scrapping, oh yeah, I used Plumeria Pink from Lindy Stamp Gangs, and I used Mr. Huey's Splash. The colors went really well together, though the splash is a little bit more green, but I like the darker color, and on the wood it looks a little bit more watercolory or translucent, so it's not so dark. On the gesso, it's more opaque. So yeah, here I use my Chamel pen from American Crafts. So here's the enamel dots. I just used green ones. I could have used pink, but I use a lot of pink in paper and with the molding stuff. So you will see some extra pictures at the end, and then that is pretty much it. So here I'm just journaling, but yeah, there'll be pictures so you can see close-ups. And thank you guys for watching, and I hope you guys have a great week. Bye guys.